Good morning, everybody. This is Michelle with Fun in Key West, and it is First Timer Friday. So I just dropped Mr. Coffee off to have his, get his grooming. He's going to get his bath and his nails done. And I thought, you know what? I think I'll check in with you guys here from the car. No, I'm not driving. As you can see, I'm not driving, but I just thought I'd check in. And I got to thinking, I'm sitting a little outside of Orlando. And everybody, it doesn't matter where you are. How many of you been thinking of, how can I get to Key West? Well, first and foremost, you have to have the vacation time, you have to have the ability to get there and all that. But then I got to thinking about, there's a lot of people who have just basic questions of how do you get to Key West? And I thought, you know what? While I'm waiting for Mr. Coffee to get his bath and his nails done, I thought I'd pop in and talk to you about, let's cover how to get to Key West. So, it's a perfect time for first-time visitors to get to Key West. It's an easy trip. There's limit, obviously, because of where it's located, there's limited options of how to get there. But, this is the perfect time to start thinking about your next trip or your first trip to Key West. As we've come through the holidays, and now we're into that whole, what are we going to do? And as we start to settle into our routines and we want to escape the snow, because there is, I think, a snowstorm coming through the north, everybody wants to get south. And the further south you get, i.e. Key West, the less likely you're going to see those little flurries out in the air. So, in case you didn't know this, Key West has an airport. So it's Key West International Airport. It's undergoing extensive renovations, and they're going to expand it, make it much larger. For those of us who have been in there and used it, it's small, it's quaint, it's tight. So I'm looking forward to that full renovation. But there are several locations that fly directly into Key West, so it's a straight flight. There's no layovers or anything like that. So when you go on to your booking engine, be sure to head over to FunInKeyWest.com, go all the way down to the bottom and look at our resource page. There's several booking engines that we like and we recommend that you use. But you're going to look for the airport EYE. So it gives you a good location of whether or not there's a direct flight. There's lots of direct flights, Miami, Lauderdale, Charlotte, to explore and do all of if you're going to have a layover, we had this issue before. We flew into Charlotte and we didn't have but maybe 40 minutes in between our connections, and we barely made it. And I didn't book like one leg and then do the other leg. The airline was the auto. What we ended up doing was we made it, but boy, that was close. I would not recommend that. That made my heart palpitate. I'll tell you what. Look for season deals, especially if you go during spring break. It's going to be high. Hotels are going to be high. It's going to be high right now because of snowbirds traveling. Hotels are going to be high because of snowbirds being in Key West. But be flexible. Going down for a weekend is going to be way more expensive than if you go midweek. So just the way that works. So look for off-season deals. If you go over a 3-day weekend, you're going to pay a premium price. As we talk about, and I love, and I recommend everybody do this at least once, you got to drive to get down to Key West. So you could fly into Lauderdale, you could fly into Miami, and then you can drive on down. You're going to take the overseas highway. It's about 113-ish miles from Miami down to Key West. Be sure to check out some of our other lives and all of the information that I have over on FunInKeyWest.com about the drive and where you should stop and all those must-sees things, because there's things to see in Key Largo and Island Murata, and you can stop and see the 7 Mile Bridge, and you can do all of that. If you're renting a car, think about this. You could fly into Miami and then drive down and then fly out of Key West. Or you could fly into Key West and drive up and fly out of Miami. So that, be creative. Think about some of the other options that you could do. It's a pretty cool Florida Keys road trip, either direction. You don't have to go all the way down. If you happen to be on the Gulf Coast and you're in the Fort Myers area or Marco Island, you know there's the Key West Express. It's a ferry service from Fort Myers and Marco Island, and you can take the ferry down. Depending on time of year and and when they're running, sometimes you can just do a day trip. That'd be a really long day trip. You can go down, stay the night, come back. They have, you can basically take your carry-on, so you wouldn't need to worry about all your luggage. You're going to want to bring early, show up early, make sure that you truly are able to enjoy the experience on the ferry. I have not yet done it, so if you have done the Key West Express, I want you to put down in the comments, hey Michelle, this is what I loved about the Key West Express. This is what gave me I don't know if I would do it again. I would love to hear all your feedback. So that's a really cool way to get to Key West. The party starts early and continues on then whenever you land there and when you dock in Key West. Key West can be a stop along the way on maybe a cruise. So there's a lot of people I know who were first exposed to Key West because it was a port stop on a cruise that they took. And so you spend maybe anywhere from 4 to 8 hours in town. You can do excursions. You can do, the whole Duval thing. There's lots of cool things that you can do if you're just in town for a few hours. And so it's really cool to use that as part of a cruise itinerary. And if that's a place that you want to go, maybe book your cruise if you love cruising. You come into Key West on your way and you plan a cruise because it's coming to Key West. Keep in mind, the moratorium on cruise ships has been lifted, but not the really large cruise ships are allowed to come back into Key West anymore. Stay tuned. I'm going to do a whole thing about the cruise ships and everything. It's kind of a love-hate relationship, honestly, that people have with the cruise ships in Key West. I love going down to Mallory Square and seeing them there, and I just think they're just awe-impressive and just so cool to look at. But I also get the impact to the environment that they have there coming in and out of Key West and the waters around Key West. But so it's a love-hate relationship, and we'll talk about that later on in 25. You can always do a private charter down. There's all kinds of things to do, but you can take a seaplane to Key West. You can do a private charter. There's all kinds of things like that. You can head over to FunInKeyWest.com for all kinds of Key West travel tips. We've got them all. There's so much. The other thing I want to remind you of is 2025, we launched a Fun in Key West book club. I will put a link to the book club sign up there. We have officially started our first book, which in January is already been announced, and we have a private Facebook page where we can talk about it. We're going to have a virtual book club meeting. So we are truly, truly excited about that. So I will put the link into the comments here for the Fun in Key West book club. If you miss it or want to know more about the Fun in Key West book club, please just put down in the comments, hey Michelle, I want to know more. If you want to be in the know of what's happening with us, Key West, everything that is the Florida Keys, be sure to head over to Fun in Key West, sign up for our newsletter. And you do that by grabbing our happy hour guide. And that gets you on our newsletter. And so we're so excited about 2025. As I mentioned before, we are going to relaunch, continue our podcast. And so looking forward to some of those new interviews that we'll be able to do and taking you guys along with the ride. It's going to be an exciting year. In the meantime, you guys have a fabulous, wonderful, fantastic Friday, and we will see you next week.